And then I think we can get going because everyone who is going to be here is here. So I would like to call the Mount Greylock Regional School District School Committee to order. It is Thursday, November 2nd. It's 6:01 p.m. We are meeting remotely via Zoom. And if we could call the roll alphabetically by last name, that would be awesome.
Bowen here.
Connery here.
Green here.
Miller here. Sorry, Malloy.
Miller here.
Great, thank you. So first up on our agenda is the Field and Track Project bid results review, vote, and next steps. Joe,
All right.
Gary?
Wait, before we discuss this, quick question, Christina.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that there's nobody from the Spanish department who's online waiting for that discussion item.
No, Steve, I spoke with
Perfect,
those
perfect.
folks.
Yep.
We're all good there.
Yep. I just want to make sure that they don't wait for the whole field discussion.
Thank
just
you.
For,
Yep.
Okay, so I'd also just note that joining us is Aaron Singer from Skanska. And is John also on the line?
Yep, John's iPhone is John Benzinger of Skanska.
Okay, and John Benzinger is also on the line. So the Track and Field Committee met yesterday and with John and Aaron and someone from CHA. And we talked about the bid proposals that had come in. There were 3, and we talked about the fact that we would like to recommend to the school committee that we accept the lowest bid and negotiate a contract with the lowest bidder. So that's actually the motion that will be on the table in just a second. But we also talked about some projects that the company with the lowest bid had done recently, that is currently doing, the fact that they had done the site work for the Mount Greylock building project. They're currently doing the site work or have just done the site work for the Williamstown Fire Station project. So can move equipment, from that location to this location, which is great news and could potentially start, this fall. So there were no red flags that came up as part of that discussion. And so what I'll do is and then I'll just add that the Finance Committee, which just met prior to this meeting, also took this up and motioned. So we have 2 motions on the table, and they really just need a second. And the motions are that the recommendation to the school committee that we accept the lowest bid, contingent on successful negotiation of a contract. This is for construction on the track and field project. And if the negotiation is not successful, that we go to the second lowest bid. So that's the motion. And just for clarity, I'll say that the bidder with the lowest bid is WMJ Keller and Sons Construction Corporation. And that their bid was $3,527,161. So is there?
Do you want to say who the second bidder was?
Sure. Hang on one second.
Well, just because we said we'd move on to the second bidder. If this doesn't, that should probably.
Yep. Okay. And the second lowest bid is Riffenberg Contracting Corporation. And their bid was $3,606,000, $606,942.
So I am happy to second.
Okay. So is there a discussion, questions for any of the committee members from either of the track and field or finance committee or our consultants who are on the line or administration? Julia.
Can I just say something? Oh,
Oh, go ahead. Julia first.
What is left if they go to negotiations for the contract? Like, what could go wrong that we would go to the second bidder?
It's highly unlikely that anything will go wrong. It would be if something catastrophic had happened and they were unable to supply the necessary bonds, or if they actually turned around and they said, just kidding, we can't. There's nothing left around price or what the project is that is left uncertain here. So it's really it's probably just a procedural matter, but I think it's healthy to declare that we have two bidders who would be within our budget and who are, and all three bidders were qualified to do the work.
Mhm. Steve?
I was just going to ask if it would be helpful for the committee for us to just summarize what was reported in the finance subcommittee, or if the committee does not need that information.
So I think that was in the packet, although I'm not sure. I'm not looking at the school committee packet right now, but there is a sheet that in terms of, are you talking about the projected funding or what? Oh, I think what you're talking about, Steve, is what we would like to put back in the project.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And the fact that this is coming in $1 million under the previous one, and why that's coming in under.
Joe?
And just basically just
You want me to
describing what
do-
happened and the great work that was done by everybody to get us here.
So I'll take the second one first. It was primarily scope reduction that went into decreasing the cost of the project. The first thing was removing the irrigation. Second was removing the bleacher and press box at alternate, as well as the supporting concrete pad, and limiting or changing walkway surfaces in certain situations. So those were the scope reductions that allowed the project to come in far under where it had been before. That's the direct answer there. And then in response to the first question of what, if this does come in under budget, what would we want to get back into the project? We within the Field and Track Project Committee yesterday had discussed, and I feel strongly as somebody working on this that there are two things dependent upon costs that I would like to see back into the project. One is completing the walkways as asphalt instead of having a portion of them gravel. That's just it's something that from a cleanliness of the overall project, to some extent durability, although gravel walkways are quite durable when well constructed. It would just be a nice consistency thing throughout the project to have asphalt walkways ready to go for many years to come. That's one. And then the second one is doing a better job around the area to support future bleachers and press box, getting the concrete pad down, actually getting that back in. I think those are the two first things. In what order they come in to some extent would depend upon the cost of each and whether we could afford one or both. And I think that's something where we're still a ways away from knowing whether or not within the available funding, whether or not we can achieve that. After that, you would actually want to put bleachers on top of a pad. And then you would want to take further care into the press box area, either with a formal press box or with a portable press box unit, things like that. So those are the types of areas, but we're still months away, honestly, from knowing where we are within the construction work. What I will say is that I think after we accept this contract, or if we accept this contract and we move forward, that we should then start to have conversations around how could we achieve those things? What kind of fundraising can we do to make sure we get them in, and so on? Because we right now, the point where those things really start to either happen or not happen late spring, early summer next year. So we've got a little bit of runway here, but that's what I would offer up.
And
Do you have any rough idea? Sorry.
yeah, I was just going to add, Steve, that we have multiple sources of funding going into this project already. We have the remainder of the Williams capital gift to Mount Greylock at about $3.6 million. We have $100,000 from the Williamstown Community Preservation Act Committee, and we have $800,000 in borrowing capacity. In addition to that, we already do have some funds that have been pledged as well. So it will be that last category of pledged funds that we will be building on to augment the sources in order to achieve some of those other things.
Well, I had a comment and a question.
Okay.
So the comment was, I just wanted to thank everybody for the very fast turnaround and for the foresight of having this put out to bid so quickly, so that when things came in high around 4.6 million, we had time to rebid it without having prices go up too much and get something in around 3.6 million. So I just want to, thank everybody for the hard work and the rapid work on this. The second is, do you have any rough sense of how much it would cost for these two items to bring them back in, just to get a rough sense? If not, absolutely no problem.
I can throw out some very rough numbers, and I don't want to put John or Aaron on the spot, but I would guess that for the walkways, it's somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000, probably closer to 50 than 100.
That's a very safe range, Joe.
And then for the concrete pad, I think we were looking at $80,000 or $90,000, but that also depends upon the original concrete pad was going in with footings and other things to really support a very specific type of structure on top. So that's much more variable, I think, or not much more, but it's more variable. But both things are potentially achievable if we come in under or on budget here, I think.
Right. Thank you.
Yep.
Joe, there was definitely some other VE that we did that didn't cut scope. We loosened the earthwork spec to allow use of local gravels, which saved a tremendous amount of money. So it's not like we just cut scope to get to a number. We were able to make the majority of the scope without sacrificing program.
That's John Benzinger. Thank you, John. So the flip side to the sources of funds, which I enumerated, and Joe put this together, Joe Bergeron, thank you very much. In terms of the funds that we already know that we are spending from that total, would be the payments to Skanska and CHA, this construction bid document, the FF&E, and the contingency. So we do have, a budget lined up, and we're slightly under right now, but that's before actually breaking ground. So if we're super lucky, there may be some wiggle room, but we know that we can't count on that right now. Any other questions, comments? We ready to vote? Is there anything anyone else wants to add, John or Aaron? Okay. So roll call vote.
Bowen, I.
Conry, I.
Green, aye.
Malloy, aye.
Miller, I.
That vote is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. This is really exciting. This is actually going to happen. So the next step is John Benzinger will get in touch with Keller and let them know the result of this vote. And then, you know, we'll hear if there are any issues with negotiating that contract, but otherwise, John Benzinger, what are you thinking in terms of an actual groundbreaking time frame? Because we should have a little.
So, yeah, I think we can get through the contract by Monday, Tuesday next week. We've had some preliminary discussions with Keller about the contract. Aaron, I don't know if you've had specific conversations with them about equipment over and stuff, but
Harry, we intend to see equipment on the site by the end of next week, beginning of the following. The 13th would be probably the latest you see equipment showing up. And 2 crews are becoming available. So they're going to hit the ground running hard, and hopefully they get a lot of work completed before the winter season really kicks in.
That's great. Really great. Thank you.
So exciting. I'm trying not to wiggle in my seat.
So if it looks like we can schedule something, you know, where we invite, you know, iBerkshires and the Berkshire Eagle and have some kind of small ceremony, get some school committee members there and Coach and Lindsay and various other people, that'd be great. I don't know.
If we're doing this, I would strongly suggest we also reach out to people who have served on the committees in previous years that have worked so hard on this, as well as, of course, the college and, you know, people who have started to donate.
Sounds great. So, yeah, we'll work on that. Thank you. All right, the next item is for Christina.
Yes, so the next up on the agenda is trip to Argentina date change from April 11th to April 24th is when the trip will take place. It was
Yeah.
originally over the vacation, and Jake can explain this a little bit further.
Yes, so when Joe Johnson was on the committee meeting to present this, he was looking at hoping that 20 students would sign up and be serious about going. As of yesterday, 27 students have signed up and are serious about going and have done what they need to do to lock in. The original dates that you approved were April 12th through April 21st. I think on the agenda, we might have the wrong date. It's still April 21st is the end date. We are looking to move back with your approval, the start date from April 12th to April 11. The ramifications of that actually saves $400 a ticket for transportation by bumping it a day. And that seemed like a really significant savings for young folks and families that are trying to take this educational trip. So really just wanted to bring that forward to you to get an official seal of approval on moving that date back by 1 day. And with the thanks of the entire group of young people that are going and the Spanish teachers at the school who are very excited about this and will be chaperoning the trip.
So would someone like to make a motion to approve the Argentina date change to start April 11th?
Miller,
moved.
happy
Do I
to
have a-
move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, Ursula can take it.
Green seconds. Any further discussion?
So the start date is a Friday, is that right?
Yes,
So they'll miss 1 day of school.
yes.
Okay, and that won't be a date when important tests are scheduled or,
No,
okay.
no.
But this is why we're not approving your blanket dates for the scheduling of the trip. That's why we're doing it this way, correct?
That we did want to approve, because you approved a different start date. We did want to make sure that you officially had the opportunity to discuss and ask about moving it back one day, particularly because it does now, Steve, impact like a school day. Yes.
Let me rephrase. The reason initially we didn't approve a blanket date of you choose which dates work best for you is we wanted the committee to be able to check and make sure that the dates worked well with other things. For example, if it was missing 4 days of school, that might make us rethink approving it.
That's correct.
I'm just thinking for
Yep.
thinking for future trips.
Yep.
Do we want to structure it like we do with specific dates? And then this is just, for the minutes, this is the logic why we did it this way and have the agenda item now.
Yeah, generally when these come in, they are, at least in my time here, and some of it marked by the students weren't traveling, these tend to happen February break or April break, and the trip that's approved going into 2025, I believe, is happening over April break. And we're working internally trying to air traffic control the when trips are brought forward. So students are getting, the broadest group of students are getting multiple opportunities. So if something doesn't work out, they will have another opportunity before they graduate. But yeah, we will always bring forward very specific dates. And I think this establishes that if there is a change to the very specific date that's been approved for this, we would certainly want to bring it back in front of the school committee.
Julia?
Sorry, it's not going to necessarily change my vote, but I want to confirm in the agenda, it says it's April 11th to April 24th. April 11th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
And I think I heard Carrie just say, so it starts on a Friday. So
It's so believe they're leaving Thursday evening and the trip.
Got it.
Yeah. And just while we're on the point of the agenda, that it is wrapping up April 21st, not the 24th too, just to be clear. Yeah. Thanks, Julia.
And I should remember this from the previous discussion, but was this trip or is this trip open to kids who are not taking Spanish as well as students who are taking Spanish, or is it only
No,
Spanish?
this trip was very focused and specific. And that's one of the things that the administration and the faculty at Mount Greylock Regional School were discussing, and I'm getting involved, from a policy perspective and a timing perspective. The core of this has to be that the field trips are educational, and this one, a piece of that academic focus was that not only is it only open to Spanish students, but actually higher level Spanish students that have dedicated some years to study leading up to this event.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion that's moved by Miller and seconded by Green. All in favor?
Owen, aye.
Conry, aye.
Green eye.
Malloy, aye.
Miller, aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I have no other items for discussion. Are there any agenda requests from the committee? Okay, hearing none, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Bowen moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Malloy seconds. All in favor?
Owen, aye.
Conry, aye.
Green eye.
Malloy, aye.
Miller, aye.
Thank you. It is 6:25 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.